How are y'all doing? We're live in Houston, Texas, and today we're talking about what's going on with immigration reform. You may have heard some updates already that New York Times has somehow obtained a draft copy of President Biden's immigration blueprint. Most of this, to be honest, is already what he has discussed before, but we want to share it again. Part one is about immigration court. So stay tuned all the way to the end. So you'll have all the news about what this blueprint is all about and to see if you would be included as part of this blueprint to see if you could qualify. Now, so welcome to Green Card Guys TV. I'm your host, John Ting. So thank you for tuning in. If you're new to our channel, please subscribe down below. We greatly appreciate it. And share with your friends. You might have a friend or family member that has an immigration problem that we can solve for you. We're happy to guide you from A to Z. Now, I like what I like to do. If you know me by now, is I like to give you the high points, right? Really, the points that would help you. Now, I want to talk about immigration court first. So, court is when you might know is that people have to go there because the government is trying to remove them, deport that person from the United States. Now, if you have attended court before, this doesn't mean the government is going to actually physically remove you at that first court hearing or at any court hearing. They're not going to physically remove you. Okay. Even detained cases, people who are detained, the detention center, it's all done by video hearing. Okay. So anyways, there's going to be a budget. President Biden is trying to include a budget to where they're going to increase the number of judges that they're going to hire for immigration court. Now, what does that mean to you? Number one, the Trump administration actually has been increasing the number of hires, even though he had a freeze on federal hiring. The Department of Justice, Attorney General, they were hiring more judges the past couple of years. But President Biden is going to increase funding for this as well. So that's number one, immigration judges. And what does that mean for you? If you have a court case, or first, actually, if you don't even have a court case, and we're going to share a video about fake marriages and about that tomorrow. But what you need to know now is that your case could be processed a little faster. But I wouldn't be too concerned about that right now at this moment because there's a significant backlog, thousands and thousands of cases, several cases that we had even before the pandemic when we had to get rescheduled because of government shutdown. They would be rescheduled at least 2 years later. I'm pretty sure I have cases scheduled 2024. It's 2021 now. So that's a long time. So I just want to give you an idea why they're doing it, right? Because of the backlog, they're trying to reduce it. So the other thing about backlog is that they're trying to reduce the visa backlog. Okay, there's backlogs everywhere, left and right. So the visa backlog is for the interviews abroad. Okay, so they're going to focus on that. They're also focusing on, reducing the time to process your case in America. And how they're doing that is by allowing filing your applications online. Do I recommend that? I don't actually at the moment. However, they're talking about, and the reason I don't recommend it right now, because I do allow online filing for the petition, I believe change of status, 539, and also for, I believe I-90 to renew your resident status. But right now, I don't recommend that. We've done on a few cases when it's really short timing. And the reason we do that is because we get some kind of online confirmation. But at the end of the day, I don't recommend it because it's kind of, it's not user friendly at the moment. Hopefully they'll improve the system. If that's what they're going to add the budget for, right? If they add more money to that, then that'd be great. But the technology they use right now, it's pretty ridiculous. So hopefully they get that taken care of. Let's see here. So the other thing about people who are applying for adjustment of status, or people call it green card application, they're considering to do virtual interviews. If I don't work for the government, I mean, security is a big thing, and some people say that, oh, they need to still have in-person interviews because that's the best way to tell if, for security reasons, to see that everything's okay. Well, that could be true for some scenarios, but you would think that the government does a better job in terms of that beforehand. Okay, and I don't mean like on-site inspection, but that would be great in general if they could have virtual interviews. And you know who this could really help? Families, spouses who live in different cities. Imagine how much you could save on air travel. We have a lot of clients where, let's say, the parent, an adult son or daughter, lives in a completely different part of the United States, or spouses, if they, especially because of pandemic, and they lost their job, they had to go find another job in a different state. So they can have been physically separated for some time, but virtual interviews could definitely help. Especially, hey, you know what? Who also that can help? USCIS workers, because then they don't have to be in the physical office. So this would be very interesting to see if virtual interviews could be permitted, allowed. And if they also do that for the consulate interviews, visa interviews at the consulate, my goodness, I mean, that could reduce the backlog significantly. And actually, just a couple weeks ago, Department of State officials had mentioned that the visa backlog right now, because of the pandemic, it is almost 500,000. So almost 500,000 cases are waiting for an interview. So I get it. You are probably frustrated with the timeline. It's taking forever. But by the way, friends, if your gut tells you this is not right and this is taking a long time, give us a call, text us, and let me share the code here that we recommend you provide, because we do get a lot of requests for free consultations. So please provide this not so secret code, Green Card Guy, so that we know that you've been following us on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram. We'd greatly appreciate it, because we do get a lot of calls for that. And by the way, if you are living outside the United States right now, another way you can contact us is through WhatsApp with the same phone number here. We greatly appreciate it. Okay. All right. So anyways, back to the immigration blueprint. Okay. So the other thing is that they're going to add more. Biden wants to add money, a lot of money, into the budget for USCIS. This is very refreshing, because when it was just a year ago with President Trump, you may recall, if you subscribe to our channel, that we talked about President Trump trying to really hamper USCIS and try to reduce the budget for them. I've talked to USCIS immigration officials, the people interviewing our clients. As we kind of joke around, but we say, hey man, how you thinking about this administration? How's it making it easier for you? How's your life these days? And they are so happy. They're so happy that President Biden is now in office, because when you have someone like President Trump, who doesn't have any government experience, on the whim, one day could be this policy, the second day could be this different policy, completely different. It's difficult just in general for, in that sense, government officials, employees, to follow that. Just like a company, right? I would hate to work for this guy, Trump, but if he changes his mind so quickly like that, who really knows? But anyway, back to the blueprint. Okay, so they're going to increase the budget so they'll hire more employees. Okay, so that could reduce the backlog. Inherently, that's what it could do, right? Because they could have more interviews. And also, if they're able to do this virtually, then The interviews obviously could happen much faster, right? Because when we go in person, we have to check in. But even just on the USCIS side, they don't even have to come out to the door. I know it doesn't sound like far, but imagine it could be more streamlined, very efficient. And to be honest, I think they could, got a government perspective, they could focus more time on reviewing the case. So if they were so concerned about security, I would feel like they would be able to spend more time on your case file because they don't have to spend as much time with the logistics if it's done on like any kind of video conference. There's so many out there, right? Zoom, WebEx. Um, I also use Whereby, for example, but so there's so many options. Google Meet, but the government is a bureaucracy. It does take a long time to get things like this technology, a decision on technology process, decision making within the government. So that's why it would be better that this could be passed through Congress. Now, I do think this could be possibly done without Congress. I could be wrong, but which would be great if it doesn't need congressional approval. Let's see here. But there's several other things that you should know. This blueprint is divided into about 7 sections, so it's a lot of information. They're trying to focus more on high skilled workers. They haven't specified what kind of job title that is. They're also would be increasing the refugee count to, I believe, 125,000. So that would be significant, okay? And really removing barriers, just in general, removing barriers from people being able to apply to get some kind of legal status, a visa or green card. So this also includes President Biden wanted to increase the number of visas for the letter U visas, okay? And if you're not familiar with this is a victim of crime visa. So the crime, the charge, the offense does not have to be committed by someone who is a spouse, partner, doesn't have to be a significant other or insignificant other. It can be a stranger. I've had cases where people were unfortunately hit by a drunk driver, and they were able to get a U visa from that because technically that's a crime. So they're a victim of that crime. And also, right, and if you don't know, it's the reason to increase that. It's only maximum 10,000 per fiscal year. So that's why there's at least a 5-year backlog. All right. So it's very unfortunate people have to wait so long, especially when one of the requirements is for the person, the victim, immigrant victim, needs to cooperate with law enforcement. So that could be police, the sheriff, district attorney, because the whole purpose of that is so that these law enforcement agencies can prosecute, put this person in jail, okay, the person who committed the crime, and then try to convict them, convict them and put them in jail for a long time, okay? So we don't want bad people with bad moral character and committing these crimes to be out in the streets and affecting other people. So that's why there's that requirement to cooperate with law enforcement, okay? Which, by the way, that's a U visa certification. But back to the blueprint, okay? There's going to be people, there's going to be Republicans, conservatives. They're not going to be happy with this because at the end of the day, it's making immigration easier, okay? It's making it more practical. The thing is, I wouldn't say easier in the sense that, if you weren't qualified, that doesn't mean you're going to be qualified just because it's easy. So Republicans, conservatives, if you're watching, I hope you understand that. It just means easier in terms of reducing the time to get that legal status, okay? Because we get calls every day. I was going to say almost every 30 minutes about people who say, I've been here for so many years. I pay my taxes. I've done everything right. I don't even have a traffic ticket. And there's no way to get a pathway to a legal status or even a work permit. Because if they're not a part of the TPS designated countries, then, unfortunately, and then if not eligible for DACA, we just had a call. Someone didn't meet exactly the June 15, 2012 cut off. to show that that person was here in America. He had entered America 1 year after. So there's these programs, but there's cutoff time. So that's why it's important now to have immigration reform. Okay, so the other thing about the high skilled workers is about H-1B. Okay, and a lot of people that apply for H-1B are also able to apply for EB. Okay, that's permanent resident status. And so people who have applied and they're from countries of China and India, there's a huge backlog. So if you're watching, you're from those countries, you already know about this, but the administration is trying to streamline it to reduce that backlog, okay? Because I know many people waiting at least 10 years, so it's pretty ridiculous. He's also mentioned he's going to expand immigration opportunities for LGBTQ refugees from countries where they were persecuted or where same-sex marriages is not recognized. For example, Russia. So that'll be interesting to see if that he's able to do that. Actually, there's a couple things he doesn't need to do through Congress. That would be great if it's passed through Congress and permanent, but he can do that through the Department of Justice and also the Attorney General's office. Because we saw that under President Trump's administration, the Attorney General, that's where a lot of people who were not familiar with immigration definitely knew about it now, because the Attorney General can change law on just by themselves. I know it's crazy, but like, for example, when before Jeff Sessions was Attorney General, the court system, Board of Immigration Appeals, acknowledged and recognized that, for example, if someone had suffered domestic violence, then that is a ground, a basis, a reason to possibly win asylum, to be granted asylum, for that to be approved. But when when Attorney General Sessions came in, he changed that. He changed several things. Also, Attorney General William Barr changed several things. So it just made it more difficult for people to even apply. I mean, you can apply, but if, for example, for our office, we don't want to apply for someone when we know it's not viable. Okay, not even possible based on the case law. So just want to give you an idea on that. So let's see what else. There's a lot to share, but so there's nothing specific in terms of like, a reform piece, like are you eligible for something? I know that we'll have some videos about that, because there are several other bills that have been proposed, introduced. Just sometimes we don't mention all of them because we know there's very few co-sponsors. Sometimes it has zero. So we prefer to talk about something that has more co-sponsors. Okay, so we'll definitely keep you updated on that. But just want to share an idea. The theme of his blueprint is to reduce the legal barriers. Okay, this is not for illegal immigration or something like that. Although, by the way, I believe just yesterday, President Biden did finally rescind the migrant protocols, the Mexico protocols, okay, MPP program. So that means people who have been waiting outside America in Mexico for asylum process, they don't have to do that anymore. Okay, so it's not going to happen that quick in terms of, hopefully it does, but knowing the government, it's probably going to take a long time for them to even find out where people are located. And hopefully no one, hopefully no one's been hurt since they've been in Mexico, because there's horrible stories. We got a couple questions here. We appreciate it, but this video is just, well, hi Marlene, hi Kamaldeep. Appreciate the comments, but this is just meant for reform. Blueprint talk. But I'll try to answer a couple questions here. But please just know that I do have to hop off very soon. So after this show, you're welcome to call this number. Okay, 346-330-5888. Or you can text it and share that code, Green Card Guys. And friends, if you're just tuning in for the first time, we do offer free 15-minute preliminary discussion just to see if we can guide you, because sometimes some folks have one or two questions, and it doesn't mean you have to hire us or anything. We just want to see if we can point you in the right direction. Okay, maybe solve your immigration problem if we can. But let's see. Kamaldeep, you say your brother has I-94 card. That's great. That's like really very important evidence there to show entry. But your case is terminated. Can you apply for work permit through your I-94? It's not as simple as that. Okay, just because you have an I-94 card doesn't mean that you can get a work permit. So I have to know more information. Kamaldeep, thanks, brother. But please fill out the intake form down below. If you have time, you're at a computer. The link is down below. It starts with Ting Law. All right, appreciate it. LC Jonah, nice to see you. What about I-130 case? How many time? I think you mean how long does it take if you're over 21? I think you're talking about maybe the F2A category, or I'm sorry, F2B. But I need more information. Just in general, petition could take at least 1 year for a family preference category. Even if it took longer, it doesn't matter because you do get the priority date on the receipt notice. And that priority date is important for the purpose of the second step, okay, which you have to refer to Visa Bulletin, which I talked about a little bit yesterday. We're going to have a separate video about that, so you have an idea on that, okay? But LC Jonah, just in general, because pandemic, the visa backlog, I hate to tell you like an estimated time, okay? But I would say at this point, probably 1.5 to 2 years in general, not just a petition, okay? Petition could be much less time. Stephanie, I see this comment real quick. What's the latest on immigration reform bills? We're going to have separate videos on that, so stay tuned tomorrow on that because there's been several that's been proposed, not just by Democrats, but also Republicans, for better or worse. So we'll share that with you, Stephanie. So please subscribe so you stay tuned. Click the notification bell so you get notifications of or click the bell so you receive all the notifications or for future videos. And please smash the like button if you enjoy our content. We greatly appreciate it. So friends, we will talk to you soon, okay? If you have any comments, if you have any questions, please give us a call. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.